Hello and welcome to Accelerating Sales and Financial Services with Microsoft. My name is Karen Bailey and I'm going to be your presenter today. And I'm joined by Scott Seeley, or with Scott Seeley on our team as well. I actually am the financial services lead in a group called Industry Experiences in the Cloud and AI organization, also affectionately known as Azure Engineering. And Scott is an Azure solution architect, also focused inside of the financial services space. And our goal today from a presentation perspective is really to talk about the financial services space, our partner ecosystem, and how you work inside of the partner ecosystem, and then Microsoft's perspective in financial services, and really trying to solve the issues that our financial services customers have. From a purpose perspective, our goal is really to reach out to partners and potential partners, all the way from startups, scale-ups, scale-outs to our larger partner enterprises, and discuss how to leverage the complete Microsoft ecosystem as a way to accelerate your sales to financial services organizations. Just from a Microsoft standpoint, that change to startups and scale-ups and scale-out is something that's relatively new. If you've worked with Microsoft in the past, we tended to work with established partner organizations or established enterprises, and in the last couple of years have pivoted to a more aggressive focus on startups and scale-ups and scale-outs, as well as our enterprise organizations. And our team in particular works a lot with smaller companies that are in their startup phases, or just starting to make an entry into the financial services market. What we're going to be covering today is what's the opportunity in financial services, and then what's our point of view on that opportunity? What are the pain points specifically that we're trying to solve? And then finally, in the crisis that we're in COVID-19, there's some opportunities that have emerged or accelerated, things that we've been talking about as technologists for a period of time that are suddenly coming to the forefront, that we see as solutions that our financial services customers are really starting to ask for, and ask for more aggressively than they have in the past. We're going to talk about why partner with Microsoft. You have a lot of choices about the companies with whom you partner, and there's some distinct reasons that Microsoft is a great company with whom to partner. So we'll go through some of those reasons. And then finally, we're going to spend some time talking about the ecosystem, navigating the ecosystem, and getting through step number one of joining the ecosystem, which is something called the commercial marketplace. The ecosystem is very important to understand. Understanding and navigating the ecosystem correctly is the difference between doing really well as a Microsoft partner and not having the greatest experience as a partner. So we're going to talk about what that ecosystem actually looks like, and how you navigate it. From a financial services market landscape, and so this starts from the business itself and the business perspective, and that's how we look for partners and solutions that we actually are trying to drive to our financial services customers. We look at our financial services customers in their three main sub-industries: banking, capital markets, and insurance. And inside of Microsoft as a company, we are frequently organized around those sub-industries. So if you look at our selling organization or our partnering and industry organization, the organization is increasingly aligned to one of those sub-industries. Sitting underneath those sub-industries are sub-verticals, and this is not an exhaustive list of all the sub-verticals in those industries, but it's some of the primary sub-verticals that we pay attention to based on their use of technology to transform or digitally transform their organization. And then underneath that, you can actually just see from a financial perspective, the expectation or prediction by IDC on the spend for digital transformation in 2021. And so our agenda also looks at the organizations that are aggressively using hardware, software, and services to digitally transform their organization. And that number is at $213 billion in 2021. So the financial services space is a large market. Lots of different opportunities to digitally transform across each one of these different sectors, and all of them increasingly accelerating based on the current crisis that we're actually in. A couple of disruptive forces that are driving their CEO's agenda and the things that they're doing inside of each one of those sub-verticals. And some of them are things you probably already know, but they help to drive where we look for solutions, and thus where we look for partners inside of our ecosystem. The first are changing customer expectations, and that is again accelerating based on the current crisis. but really an expectation for a different kind of customer experience and an ability to have a personalized environment, for example. Other ones that are things that keep them awake at night are the number of startups and digital entrants that are coming in from other industries. And across banking, capital markets, and insurance, there isn't one space in there that doesn't today have a disruptor that actually is starting to compete with the banks or compete with the other financial services organizations for that space. And ever increasing, and this is something that as a former practitioner in financial services, we saw a lot. Increasing cyber threats and financial crimes. It's always interesting the way that people actually figure out how to commit a crime. It changes every day. And for some of the larger financial institutions, it actually is mind-blowing the amount of attacks that a large financial institution will go through. Always the intense regulatory environment. And then finally, one that we struggle with and for which we are always looking for partners to help our financial services organizations to solve problems is really the challenge of legacy core systems. The financial sector is one that has used technology since 1950, when we first got into the technology space. Many of our financial institutions have legacy core systems that are really difficult to disrupt. And so, we have opportunities to modernize them, but in all honesty, most of them can't change easily from a legacy core system perspective. So it's how do I actually integrate with them, use the information that's inside of them in order to continue with my digital transformation. And so that's how do I take the fragmented data and the access to those legacy systems and allow my financial services customer to digitally transform and simultaneously leave their legacy core system in place. That has driven a set of market opportunities, and this is where Microsoft starts to look in each one of these financial organizations for solutions to bring to those customers. So those opportunities fall into delivering differentiated customer experiences. How do we actually really personalize that customer experience? Increasingly bringing digital experiences to our customers. How do we empower our employees? How do we empower employees through teamwork? But just as importantly, how do we empower employees to work remotely today when they weren't able to in the past? Modernizing payments and core banking, managing risk and managing financial crime, and then finally modernizing, consolidating, and integrating, and really dealing with that core platform. So from a total addressable market space, very large market, lots of challenges, lots of headwinds that we see inside of financial services, all of which there is a technical solution that Microsoft can actually use to solve some of their major pain points. From technical solutions, there are 5 major solutions that we see coming to bear, and some of these again are accelerating in our current climate that are used by our partners to deliver solutions. And I won't go through each one of these in the technical sense, but APIs, for example, we constantly look for partners that have API gateways or ways to allow folks to connect to their legacy system. We're seeing an increase on the blockchain side with things like digital currency and an increasing request for things like central bank digital currency using blockchain, lots of data and advanced analytics, lots of things like RPA for our contact center environments in order to have contact center agents go faster and remove some of the friction in the process. And have the lower level functions be able to be performed by something like an RPA service. So our partner community tends to fall into one of these 5 groups or 5 technologies in delivering solutions to our financial services customer. Our priority scenarios, again, across those 3 groups, and this is how Microsoft approaches our customers. Our sellers actually sell solutions out of the industry priority scenarios, and our partners all fall into one of the industry priority scenarios. You notice they're all at a bit of a high level, but each one of them is something that we feel is important to have solutions in order to accomplish the needs or to solve the needs of our financial services customers. Some of them are things that are widely known as financial services issues, like financial crime and managing risk across the organization. Other ones are now starting to bubble up as new, and that's things like enable a green financial services industry, and looking at things like ESG and the ability to actually manage portfolios based on ESG scoring and some other information as companies increasingly look to invest in organizations that in fact fall someplace in that ESG spectrum, that actually are good ESG kinds of companies. So the next piece in here is really just from a financial services perspective, the kinds of solutions that we're seeing that are accelerating or changing just a little bit as we migrate into or as we go through the crisis that we're in right now. And we really have divided the crisis into kind of 3 phases of the way that we see things unfolding, and then the solutions that are required in each one of those 3 phases. The first is navigate the now. What are the things that our customers are actually looking for that help them survive the current situation that we're actually in? So for example, how do I send my contact center agents home and allow them to work from home? Caused a contact center transformation, and we're continuing to see that transformation unfold as they learn how to work from home and learn that in the future that may be part of their new normal. Plan the comeback is how do you actually start to emerge from this crisis? What kinds of things do you need to do as you plan that comeback? And then finally, shaping the new normal says, what does the new financial institution look like when we actually fully emerge from COVID-19? And things that may exist in there are work from home and rapid deployment of remote work. Things in the new normal that we will be dealing with are mortgage and loan payment deferrals. We'll be dealing with predicting of loan failures on both the commercial and the consumer side of the house. We'll be engaging and serving our customers virtually in a digital bank fashion. We'll have to do things that we work with today, for example, in KYC and identity protection. That change if a person can't come in and give you a form of ID in order to be able to confirm that's who they are, right? So ways that we would have in the past done identity protection might have to change if the person has to go to a branchless bank, for example, in the new normal. So the new bank for the new normal, again, just places where we actually see our financial services customers transforming their culture, and every time their culture transforming the solutions that are actually required. The first is remote work from anywhere, and this is remote work for contact center agents. It might be a branchless bank, and how do I actually handle customers that are in a digital experience, solutions for digital onboarding, for loan origination, all things that we're seeing actually accelerate, things where we had some technology, but not necessarily solutions in all spaces that we're seeing accelerate inside of our financial services customers. Other places, fraud, for example, in the current PPP environment, and how do we manage paycheck and fraud against that program? How do we do remote skilling of our workers, and then really manage a customer relationship that may not be something that actually happens in person, but maybe something that happens remotely. Again, the reason for kind of level setting on the financial sector and how we see the needs of our financial services customers is really that the needs of the financial services customer are met with Microsoft products delivered through our partner community. And so as a team, we actively are looking to build a robust ecosystem of partners that allow us to really give a complete supply chain of solutions to our financial services customer. And we've defined really the needs of that financial services customer in those things called industry priority scenarios, and then really started to look at the needs based on what's happening in our new normal, and really seeing the acceleration of some of the partner needs that are coming out inside of that space. Most of these solutions are things only delivered through partners from a digital transformation perspective. So without partners in our process and without great partners in our ecosystem, we actually don't have the ability to completely serve the needs of our financial services customer. And that's really what we're trying to do. So why partner with Microsoft in financial services? And I'm going to say there are lots of reasons to partner with Microsoft, but I want to talk about kind of two major areas that I think are important in how Microsoft works with their partners, and just as importantly, how we work with our customers. So the first is that partners are core to our strategy, and I personally found the number to be mind-blowing when I first heard it, and that is 90% of our commercial revenue actually comes from our partner community. So if you look at all of Microsoft's revenue, 95% of that is transacted through partners. and through that partner community. And for every $1 in revenue that you see that Microsoft brings in, again, 95% of which is coming from our partners, partners generate $9.64 according to an IDC study in 2018. That means that our partners actually also reap the reward of being a Microsoft partner to the tune of $9.64 to every dollar in revenue that we actually bring in. Our partner community is vast, and they're partners that do a little bit of everything. We have system integrator partners, we have cloud service providers and cloud partners. We have partners that write applications on top of the Microsoft platform, and then partners that perform specific kinds of configurations in things like Dynamics as one of our solutions, for example. There's 68,000 cloud partners, and that partner ecosystem is an enormous part of why Microsoft and why partner with Microsoft in financial services. The partner ecosystem allows you as a partner to actually form symbiotic relationships to accelerate your sales into financial services. In some cases, if you're a startup organization, partnering with a more well-established financial services vendor who has established relationships inside of the financial services organization is one way to go. In other instances, your solution may have a symbiotic relationship with another solution, and together as partners, you actually can provide a more holistic offering to the financial services organization than you could alone. As the partner-to-partner connection is very important inside of Microsoft. And again, 68,000 partners to work with. And partners in our case receive 19% more higher margins than our next closest competitor. So lots of great reasons to be inside of the partner ecosystem. The second thing that I think that is substantially different, and one of the reasons that you're seeing financial services organizations start to really look at who their technology provider is, and this is something that's baked in Microsoft's DNA, is that we do not compete with our customers and we don't compete with our partners. And we are very clearly in a business of providing information as a service and platform as a service, providing applications like Dynamics and Teams and Office 365. That's the business that we're in. We are not in the financial services business, and we don't actually generate financial services applications. That's what our partners do, and our customers are financial services organizations. Increasingly, financial services organizations are seeing technology partners actually begin to encroach on their space and have a growing disintermediation threat, meaning removing the consumer from the bank and actually going direct to the consumer with financial services. And I put a slide in here from CB Insights on all ways that Amazon is unbundling the bank. Not all of these are truly unbundling their relationship, in this case with Chase. Their Amazon Prime Visa, for example, is a partnership with Chase, but a lot of the pieces in here are all financial services functions that are being provided by a technology provider. The partnership between a financial services company and some of the FinTechs is kind of a growing trend, right? In some cases, they're choosing to partner rather than compete with them. But some of the larger organizations clearly have service offerings that are a direct threat and a direct competitor to the financial services organization. That's not something that Microsoft is ever going to do. Microsoft is not in the business of being a financial services organization, and we're not in the business of competing with our partners. The partners are core to our strategy, and so we respect that relationship. Okay. 3 ways to sell with us. And so I'm going to transition now just a little bit to what the ecosystem actually looks like. And I've heard this explained that a relationship with a company like Microsoft can be a feast or famine. And whether or not it's a feast or famine is entirely up to the partner. A large part of the difference between partners who have a really successful relationship with Microsoft and who are able to successfully sell with Microsoft is their understanding and their ability to work through the ecosystem. And that ecosystem is not just inside of Microsoft, but outside of Microsoft as well. Most people who sign up to be Microsoft partners immediately, most partners with whom we worked, immediately head for I would like to go sell with the Microsoft sellers, and for a very good reason. We have thousands of sellers, and we actually reach over 40,000 corporate customers. If you think about Microsoft's, reach across the globe, there are very few organizations that Microsoft does not touch globally. And so getting access to the Microsoft sellers tends to be where everybody concentrates their attention. But the Microsoft sellers are one piece of our overall ecosystem, and they work in a very distinct area. And there are lots of other pieces inside of Microsoft that allow you to be successful. So the first is to sell with the Microsoft field sellers, and we'll talk about what kinds of places the field sellers actually work, and then some recommendations on the best way to work with the field sellers. The other big channel, and one that for all new partners and actually all existing partners is a really important part of your ecosystem strategy, is the reseller channel. And that is, with whom do you partner inside of Microsoft's ecosystem? The Microsoft ecosystem has partners, for all of the major system integrators that exist. It also has management consulting companies like Ernst & Young and Deloitte and Accenture that might be good partners. It has a series of other financial services partners that sit out there that, again, might have symbiotic solutions to the solution that you actually have as a partner. Establishing those partner relationships and really having a partner strategy with whom would you like to work inside of the partner community is a really important go-to-market strategy step when you enter the Microsoft ecosystem, and really one of the very first things that you do as you start to go to market. And then finally, the third way to sell with us is web and in product. And we have some solutions that are actually inside of products. For example, we have partners that have built solutions for teams, specifically to help with compliance in teams inside of financial institutions. That's built inside of one of our products. We also have solutions that we offer in our marketplaces, in the Azure marketplace and in the AppSource marketplace, that allow you to extend your reach inside of Microsoft, to reach the selling community inside of Microsoft, to extend your reach to the reseller community, because now they can see you online as well. And then finally, extend reach into that customer population as well. That web and in product lead generation piece actually also helps with getting you access to the reseller channel piece. Before I came to Microsoft, I was with a partner, and a lot of our leads came from the web and in product series, and the leads were not leads from customers, they were leads from partners who were trying to deliver a solution to a customer with whom they had a trusted relationship, and for which they did not have the solution, and they needed another partner to come in with them in order to provide that complete solution. So the web and in product is really good at attaching you to customers, attaching you to sellers, and then just as importantly, attaching you to the rest of the partner ecosystem inside of Microsoft. Okay. And achieve more with the Microsoft ecosystem, again, just a different lens on what the ecosystem actually looks like, and calling out the different steps in the path that you take across the ecosystem. The first one is that we have resources to help you build with Microsoft, and that is to build the solution that you're going to put out there for financial services customers to drive adoption of Microsoft technologies, and then publish that in our commercial marketplace. And we'll end today with kind of step one, which is publishing in the commercial marketplace. The second is go-to-market planning with Microsoft, and I have an example in here of one vehicle that I like to recommend to our partners as something they do in their go-to-market strategy with Microsoft and with our partners. And again, the big note in here is we're here to support you every step of the way. There are tons of videos and tons of go-to-market materials that you can find on our website. You'll see the links at the end of this presentation, all designed to really help you in your relationship with Microsoft, in building with our products, and then establishing that go-to-market strategy. And then finally, that co-sell with Microsoft is how do you leverage Microsoft and how do you leverage the broader ecosystem to reach new customers, to engage our sellers and to engage our other partners, and then be transactable worldwide on our commercial marketplace, allowing you to really scale outside of the region that you're in today and scale to 141 different markets. And then again, I want to stress, one of the great benefits of being part of the Microsoft Partner Network are, in fact, folks just like you. It's the rest of the partner ecosystem with whom you can actually partner to work with your financial services customers. One of the interesting things about financial services is a financial services customer is a risk adverse, tends to be a risk adverse organization. They tend to buy from trusted partners, and the time to revenue in a financial organization can actually be quite long, particularly if you're not an established vendor with that organization. Our estimation is it's about 12 months just to get to contract if you do not have an existing relationship inside of your financial institution. One of the great ways to shorten that process is to actually partner with somebody else who does have a relationship with that customer. The second is to look at something like a commercial marketplace that allows you to transact with Microsoft and who has an established relationship with a customer, and again, shorten that time to actually get to contract with the financial institution. Okay. The partner journey, and this is just at a high level, and I should note that your experience may vary, but I thought it would be helpful to kind of explain where we tend to focus attention and what your journey will look like as you start down this partner process with Microsoft. The first is, and the very first step in our process is something called the commercial marketplace, and the commercial marketplace is what makes you visible inside of Microsoft, visible to our customers, and visible to other partners out there, other partners in the Microsoft ecosystem. Other services that we have available in this space, particularly for our startup organizations, are things like our Microsoft for Startup programs, which really helps startups that are in their Series A and Series B funding stages to get successful as a Microsoft partner. So it includes success managers, some go-to-market strategy, and some credits to actually help from a startup perspective. Those are all things that we actually see at the beginning of the process. And the commercial marketplace is really geared toward, although it can have sales from our tier 3 and 4 financial institutions all the way up to our tier 1 financial institutions, but it's a great place to have applications that target those tier 3 and tier 4 financial institutions. Those tend to not have an enterprise seller associated with them because the enterprise seller is going to be working on larger deals than might be transacted for some of the smaller financial institutions. And so this is a great place to be visible to them. Things that we see that just based on the current crisis that might be important in tier 3 to 4 is that in the past, the digitization of their banks, their retail banks, for example, was something that was moving along very slowly. They still heavily relied on their branches, still hadn't necessarily made the same investment from a digital bank perspective that you'd see in some of the larger financial institutions. Increasingly, because of this crisis, we're seeing some of those smaller organizations start to catch up and start to look for technology solutions that allow them to catch up to some of the digital transformation that's happened in some of the larger organizations. And that commercial marketplace is really a good place to start to get to those kinds of financial services customers. The second piece in here is really, I put it as tier 2, but again, this is not exact. It just is to give an idea of where we would traditionally see deal size and customer size. Step number 2 is to get what's called co-sell ready. And co-sell ready means that you have an active relationship with Microsoft. You are actively selling solutions at a certain level that have a certain level of consumption on the Microsoft side. And co-sell ready allows our sellers to actually get an incentive for working with you as a partner. I tend to see this in some of our larger organizations. We have it as the tier 2 organization. If the deal is large enough on tier 1 and tier 2, the enterprise seller tends to engage. If it's a smaller deal, we have an inside sales organization that routinely calls on some of our smaller financial services organizations, always looking for great solutions for the financial services organization, and can be helpful if the deal size is less than a couple of $100,000 as part of your overall sales process. So in that co-sell ready state, you tend to be working a lot with other partners. You may be working with our inside sales organization, which has a financial services focus. You likely can still be going direct to customer through the commercial marketplace. And then as your deal size gets larger, and in our tier 1 large organizations, That's where our enterprise seller tends to engage. From an enterprise seller perspective, this is really about being able to take Microsoft in with you when you go to speak to one of your potential customers. So if you're going to meet with a Bank of America or a Wells Fargo, for example, and you have a solution that you've been working with those financial institutions to sell, bringing the Microsoft team with you helps you to actually bring the size and scale of Microsoft as an organization into that conversation. So it allows you to have a trusted provider to the financial institution with you as you go into that sales process. You also will spend some time getting to know your enterprise seller for the accounts that you actually are targeting together, and they're always looking for solutions that they can actually bring into their accounts in order to solve specific pain points. So building the information that helps them to understand what your solution is, what your target customer looks like, what your persona looks like from a buyer perspective, are all ways that the enterprise seller gets to know your organization and are helpful for actually allowing them to know when to bring you into a customer. So from a journey perspective, step number one is starting commercial marketplace. From there, as your partner relationship grows, there are other resources inside of Microsoft that help you to accelerate your sales into the financial services customer. The interesting thing inside of Microsoft is partners are all treated equally. Partners, your relationship as a partner is really directly tied to what you do as a partner with Microsoft. So how you actually manage your Microsoft relationship, how you manage the ecosystem, how you actually sell, are all things that are directly related to your success. Every partner, even the largest partners that we have out there, start exactly the same way and grow their relationship with Microsoft based on their engagement. And for that, there are 5 key attributes, and I'm going to focus on probably the last 3 in here that makes a successful Microsoft partner. Again, this goes back to the feast versus famine portion of this. It can definitely be famine if this is not managed correctly. It can absolutely be feast in a relationship with Microsoft if it's appropriately managed. Of course, the first 2 are ones that we all know. Customer obsessed and differentiated value proposition are really important success attributes of our most successful partners. But the bottom 3, I think, are really unique to Microsoft and unique to this relationship. The first is an alignment with Microsoft. Microsoft has resources in multiple organizations that can help our partners and help our customers with solutions, and aligning correctly between our sales organization, our partner organizations, our engineering organizations, and our industry teams, which focus on industry verticals like financial services. Getting the correct alignment and managing that relationship is really important. Leveraging the ecosystem is the second large attribute of our successful partners, and that is leverage not just the Microsoft ecosystem, but also leverage the partner ecosystem as well, and be part of that ecosystem is definitely something that leads to success. And finally, culture alignment. Microsoft has a very distinct culture. We value a growth mindset, a learning mindset, rather than a fixed mindset. We have a huge focus on diversity and inclusion, a huge focus on ESG attributes, environmental attributes. That cultural alignment is also something that's important to the overall success as a partner. But it really is kind of an alignment with Microsoft and leveraging that ecosystem. Done correctly, the partnership really can be a strategic partnership. There are areas where we ideate with you to actually help understand the best way to solve pain points for our customers. Our sellers can actually help to sell your solutions with your support, of course. Our partners can actually help you to get to the financial institution faster than you generally can alone, and in a lot of cases in that symbiotic relationship. So that alignment and the ecosystem are all things that are really important attributes of being successful. Last piece in here before I start to get into kind of the first step in the partnering process that I think is an important piece, and I generally ask most of the partners with whom I work to complete one of these, And this is a sample that actually sits on a go-to-market portion of our partner website. I affectionately call it a one-pager, and the one-pager can actually be a bit more marketing when you start to meet with the Microsoft team. But the one-pager really is a template or a framework for establishing your go-to-market strategy with Microsoft. The information in here is really helpful to letting Microsoft help you in this process. And so the one pager talks a little bit about your solution. What is your value proposition and what's your differentiated value proposition, and what are the goals of your relationship? It also talks about your target customers and the buying personas, all things that are important pieces of information for the selling organization to understand so they know to whom they should talk to about your solution. And then what kinds of partners are you looking for? Do you have an application and you need a system integrator to help you with the application? Is that the kind of partner that you need? Do you have a specific geographic region that you're looking for? For example, if you attempt to transact business in Brazil, you likely are going to need a partner in Brazil to help you with that transaction. So are there specific support that you need from a geographic region, specific support from someone to help you implement to implement the solution, or to provide consulting services? So the clearer you are and kind of where that target partner population actually is, the easier it is for the Microsoft team to actually help you through this process. Finally, from a sales scenario perspective, we call these sales motions. The sales motion really says these are the key ways that we actually see the conversation unfolding inside of our typical financial services customers. These are the scenarios that we sell, what actually needs to happen, and then how are we partnering. And in some cases, it may be useful to have campaigns with emails and websites that actually help the team to understand exactly what that sales motion actually looks like. And then finally, you've got all of your sales resources on here. Doing something like this helps our selling community, and it helps the rest of the partners to really understand who you are and what it is that you're trying to deliver, and figure out how that matches with their goals and objectives for their current customer population. It's a really important part of the overall go-to-market strategy as a partner inside of Microsoft. Okay. Step number one. Before I go into step number one, I'm going to pause for just a minute and ask Scott, any questions, Scott, that we need to answer?
We've been able to keep up so far, so we're all good.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so step number one in establishing a relationship with Microsoft is to get onto the marketplace. The marketplace has really two storefronts. One is called the Azure Marketplace. The second one is called AppSource. And AppSource tends to be for our smaller applications. Azure Marketplace tends to be for larger services, and it can be everything from software as a service to very customized bespoke offers that get placed on the marketplace that can be transacted individually for each one of the customers from a marketplace perspective. Key things that are important about the Microsoft: first of all, the way your customers are looking at procuring is changing, and this number is from 2019. I'm sure it will change. It will change going forward as well. But 67% of business buyers want to gather their own information and not talk to a sales rep first. So they're looking for information about a pain point and about a solution that they're actually looking for. And then business to business e-commerce, which is exactly what the marketplace enables, is forecasted to compound 10% annually through 2023. One of the major reasons that Microsoft is investing so heavily in the marketplace and really putting our partners and our customers together inside of the marketplace is this reason, giving them the ability to actually find their information online, find about your services online, and then finally be able to transact that business online as well. And again, that business can be something that's transacted immediately in a software application that can be downloaded, or it can be something that allows them to transact and still allow you as a partner to go through the customization process of pricing and of the statement of work with that customer, also finding it on the marketplace, but allowing it to be effectively private to that customer. From a commercial marketplace perspective, you actually see our entire ecosystem sitting here. So all the things I had on the ecosystem before is actually sitting in this one catalog. On the one catalog, we have publishers. Those are our partners on the left-hand side, and we have buyers on the right-hand side. Those are our customers, and benefits for both our partners and our customers as well. Sitting in the middle is one catalog. So we now have one catalog of all of our solutions from a partner perspective, and then the catalog gets used across the ecosystem between our sellers, our partners, and then finally on that commercial marketplace. The marketplace itself is the direct piece on AppSource and the Azure marketplace. The field team uses it through something called Quote Center. And then finally, we have cloud service providers that also connect through Partner Center. So this is where the rest of the partners connect. And Partner Center is where all of this gets set up in order to create that one catalog. From a Partner Center perspective, it can be everything from software as a service to platform as a service to services and add-ins to existing products as well. And again, from a team perspective, I think one of the comments we made before is we're here to help you. The team can actually help you understand the best solution and how your solution fits into this space. At the end of the presentation, you will also see a bunch of links that also explain in our documentation exactly what the different offer types can actually be. Publishing options on the marketplace. There are 4 publishing options. The first is to list. We call this a yellow pages offering, just a list, a contact me to say that you actually have an offering. Our partners have some benefit, but not an enormous amount of benefit on the contact me side of the house. The trial offer is something that actually we get a lot of searches on from a trial perspective, but it's if you have a trial solution that someone can actually download and play with for a short period of time in order to trial your offer. And kind of varying degrees of success with this. Some people think that it gets downloaded just to play with something so that you don't have to pay for it, but other partners find this a very useful tool to get customers to actually be able to trial their offer. And again, on trial offers, we do something called social promotion. And the social promotion are things like our partner showcases, where we actually give our partners a chance to be showcased to our customers and to be showcased to our other partners and to the sellers inside of Microsoft. Bring your own license allows you to quickly deploy for customers that already have licenses. And then finally, the most effective solution that we've seen so far on the marketplace is a transactable offer. And the transactable offer allows your customer, if it's software as a service, to get it right now and download it if that's how your offering is presented. It also allows you to do things like have those private offers. And so the customer can actually choose to transact on the marketplace and still give you the ability to customize pricing and what the final solution will be. And you'll see the vast majority of our incentives actually show up on the Transact side, including a series of marketplace rewards. You'll see that in some of the follow-up documentation, inclusion on our price list, standard contracts if you need those standard contracts. And then finally, I think one of the largest benefits of the marketplace is it allows you to transact in 141 countries. Microsoft handles the invoicing and the collection. We handle taxation. So we essentially allow you to go in country without having to set up your business presence in that country. And then you have an agreement with your customer for your software solution that sits on top of that. But as a partner, one of my challenges was if my customer was in Canada and I did not have an established business in Canada, I needed to set up my tax policy for the country, for the province, for the city, and manage that process. And as a startup company, that's a bit onerous. The Transact takes that completely away, and it does it on Microsoft on Microsoft's billing and invoicing system. Okay. Transactable offers also drive results. So we have over 7,000 publishers that are transacting on the catalog today, over 15,000 offers. Partners are executing large deals and small deals inside of the marketplace. So we've had $1 million deals and our first $13 million deal transacted through the marketplace. So increasingly seeing customers actually choose to transact in the marketplace as opposed to establishing that billing relationship separately with their partner. I actually have a young startup partner whose very first customer actually did business with them in large part because they could transact on the marketplace, and that removed a lot of the barrier to establishing a billing relationship with a startup company that was just coming out of the gate. Okay. Finally, the last piece in here, just because this is a question that gets asked a lot and wanted to clear up any of the confusion, this is an agency model. The license is not with Microsoft. The contract is not with Microsoft. The contract is with you. It's your software and it's your solution. We give you a template for a standard contract that you can add amendments to, places where you might want to add amendments, or if you're going to go multi-country, each country might have different regulatory requirements that you actually have to meet. And so you may want to amend that contract. You set the price, you define your terms of use, you define your billing cycle, monthly or annually from a billing cycle perspective. That contract relationship is between you and the purchaser or the customer on the other end. Microsoft provides the platform, and Microsoft bills and collects payment. So we're the ones that actually send out invoices. We collect and do collections for the customers. We manage taxation in each one of those 141 countries, and then we submit a payment back to you based on that customer's payment. So we handle the invoicing piece of it and providing the platform for the marketplace. Everything else is something that you as a partner establish. The standard contract with amendments is something that can be done if you have a standard contract and a standard service offering that you're going to put on the marketplace. If you don't, if you have a bespoke solution for which you need custom pricing and custom terms inside of that private offer, you'd be able to have an individual contract that is for just that private offer, and then pricing and a statement of work that goes with just that partner. Okay, finally, the publishing process, and at least we say that this is difficult. We actually have made it much simpler, and again are here to help you if you need help along the way in the publishing process. But the first is to get set up, and this is to get a Microsoft partner number and an Azure Active Directory work account. You join the marketplace and follow the link there, and then finally just follow the steps to create your offer, and the steps are listed below. Submit it for publishing, and it gets certified to be published. Different kinds of offers have different certification SLAs. Some of them go very quickly. Some of them take a bit longer from a certification process. And then finally, once it's certified, you press go live and you actually get published on the marketplace. From a timing perspective, we have done these in as short as 3 days. Our average turnaround time on these is about 3 weeks to get through the process. And that's not 3 weeks of work, that's just 3 weeks time duration to get all the way through, get certified, and press the go live button. Your mileage will vary, and the variance really depends on the complexity of your solution and your engagement as part of the process. So we've had partners, again, go in 3 days, very engaged, very committed to getting to work, very simple applications. And then we've had partners take months, and it usually comes down to complexity in the application, complexity in the solution offering, or in the engagement in the overall publishing process. Okay, other programs inside of Microsoft, and again, getting into the commercial marketplace starts to open up avenues of other things that you can do in Microsoft and ways to help you in this process. And I want to point out specifically ones for the startup organizations. Startups are a really important part of our ecosystem and an increasing focus area inside of Microsoft. The large one that's also in the cloud and AI organization is Microsoft for Startups. And Microsoft for Startups is really there to help you, or to help startup organizations. Again, Series A and Series B funding tends to be where they look for their startups. But startups get success managers, they get some go-to-market help, they get some Azure help from an Azure consumption standpoint. And so a series of technical resources and relief in the cloud usage to really help the startup to be as successful as possible. We also have a venture arm in the company called M12. And so M12 typically invests in Series A through Series C funding. It tends to start at Series A, but another organization that is actively trying to promote partners in all of our spaces across all industries, and financial services definitely has a large number that sit inside of M12. And then finally, there's a Microsoft Scale Up program, formerly known as Microsoft Accelerator, really designed for startup organizations, again, offering access to resources for sales and marketing and go-to-market strategy, and resources for technical support as well. Again, all for our companies that we are hoping to mature into really successful partners. As partners are successful, so is Microsoft successful. And so your success as a partner is something that we really depend on in order to be successful as a company. Okay, last piece in here are really the sessions that you can watch that gives you more information. And I've got a series in here that came out of our Ignite and our Build sessions that really talk about technical pieces like architecting a scalable commercial SaaS application, down to how do I learn to navigate AppSource and how do I learn to navigate the commercial marketplace inside of Microsoft. Again, some from Build sessions, some from the marketing sessions, and then some from Ignite as well. Lots of great information, and if you look across the Microsoft websites, you'll actually see more information beyond these. But these were particularly applicable to getting into the commercial marketplace. Other ways to get more engaged, there's a marketplace partner community and an insiders program for partners. And again, links here to join the insiders program and the partner community. You can also learn more about digital transformation, about the industry priority scenarios, and really the point of view from our financial services team by visiting Microsoft.com/banking. And if you go through banking, you'll see customer stories, you'll see the scenarios, and you'll see blogs and information on the point of view on the financial services side of the house as well. And then finally, to get started today, a series of links in here to actually help you in the process of getting started. The first is step number 1 is to register in the Microsoft Partner Network and to sign up at Join Marketplace. Again, following the same steps that we had in that published process. We have a whole plethora of resources available to you to actually understand how to get onto the marketplace. So the first two really show you the commercial marketplace and the Azure marketplace. How do you create a transactable offer? And the documents will walk you through that process to get a transactable offer. The other link that I have in here is actually an online form that comes to our team. If you fill out the form, we will receive it, and we can evaluate you to determine if you qualify for assistance in getting to a transactable offer. So if you need help, the help is available. That form allows us to figure out what help might be available. It also gives us information that helps to determine if resources like Microsoft for Startups would be something that are good for you as well. So if you have interest, please fill out that form. If there, I'll open it up for questions. And if there are no other questions, I thank you for the time. Scott, any questions?
So far we have just one remaining question, which is how does one go about arranging a meeting on the overview of publishing apps to AppSource or Azure Marketplace?
So the easiest way to arrange a meeting is to go to the form that was on that very last page, and that form, and you don't have to fill out every question on that form, but if you fill out the form, it will come back to our team, and then we can get back to you on providing assistance on transacting. Any other questions? If not,
we also had some questions around specific solutions on top of Azure. So what about IFRS 17, others about compliance? We might want to talk a bit about how private offers versus public.
So
for another day.
Yeah, absolutely. So just from a compliance standpoint, if you look, that we have a whole bunch of compliance sites that show the areas of regulatory compliance that we actually meet. I actually had the compliance slide in this deck and I took it out, that showed all the different regulatory areas where we actually are compliant. And then from a private and public offer, a public offer is something that is transactable immediately. The private offer allows you to customize it in order to meet distinct requirements on the part of the customer. That might be a regulatory requirement that requires you to go down a private offer path. Okay, if there are no other questions, thank you for participating. Again, reach out if you need help in that form, and we look forward to having you be a Microsoft partner.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you everyone for attending. In the live Q&A section, we did place a link to our reactor survey. If you have a few moments and you could fill that out, we would really appreciate it. The first question it will ask you is the event code, so I have also included that. The event code for this event is 7533. Again, we would love to hear your feedback, and please make sure to check out the Reactor meetup pages for all of our other upcoming online events that we have. Thank you all so much, and the recording and the slides for this presentation will be on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube page by tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.